If you browse the MGTOW subreddit, you'll find that many posts are about women doing more or less pretty shitty things. This often makes a lot of guys angry because they see these women doing these reprehensible things, yet they tend to get no punishment or sometimes even praised for it. When I first discovered the red pill, these things only fueled my rage since what I wanted was what I considered justice. However, after some careful reflection, I realized two things. One, this gynocentric society will never willingly punish women for anything. And two, they do these things because it's in their nature. In a gynocentric society, women reign supreme. Their desires, hopes, emotions, all of those fleeting things become paramount. We no longer follow morals because those morals do not serve women. We no longer praise masculinity because masculine men don't concede to women. Instead, we praise weakness and emotional vulnerability because in an emotional domain, none can even hold a candle to women. They are innately more skilled at emotional manipulation because that is essentially the only way most women can manifest what they desire in the world. They would have to learn how to manipulate men to do things for them because they are often too inept to do it themselves. Hell, even something as destructive as feminism was and still is propped up by weak men, who women can use to write the legislations they want to see written. It's the same game, just a different set of paint. This is apparent on the societal level because, like I mentioned earlier, weak men will concede to women. This means that they will be unwilling to punish women no matter how much evil they manifest onto the world because the men are simply too weak. They can't hold their own against a woman who will tear them a new asshole if he steps out of line. Now, after hearing all this, you might be compelled to ask, why is this happening? Why can't women just go back to the way they were and be docile, pleasant people again? The answer to that is quite simple, albeit well hidden. You see, women aren't just hypergamous, they aren't just solipsistic, and they aren't just shallow. Rather, they are all these things at the same time. What that means is that they are a concoction of traits that essentially make them the most ruthless and unapologetic species on the planet. This is female nature, and it is something all men should understand, because every man will have to interact with a woman every so often. It would be foolish to underestimate just how ruthless they can be, no matter how friendly they seem. They are only socializing with you because you have something to offer them, and them alone. This is referred to as a Peril's law, but I'm sure most of you are familiar with it since it's pretty much been beaten dead within the manosphere. The reason why society turned out the way it has is because we allowed beings with that mix of traits to determine what is valued in society. If you are selfish, then you will value things that benefit yourself, and so we get women voting for more welfare programs and free shit from the government. They're even trying to get the government to pay for their feminine hygiene products because they just can't possibly be expected to pay for their own goods. This also explains the hypocrisy of their campaigns, because they're not following some sort of moral code. Remember, they simply want more for themselves. This is why feminists can spend half their time complaining about manspreading and catcalling, then spend the other half using their bags to block train seats and wonder why no men hit on them anymore. They then proceed to do all sorts of mental gymnastics to try to justify how they could logically want two contradicting things at the same time, as if that will solve their problem. These people cannot be reasoned with because their position is where the problem arises. It has no basis in logical analysis, and so it cannot be logically reasoned with. Female nature is ruthless and will eat away at your soul if you allow it to. Don't fall into the trap of the masses and supplicate to any woman's desires, because her desires require that you give of yourself to her until you have nothing more to give. It's an endless ladder without any meaningful rewards for climbing to the top, because there is no top. There never was a top, and you were tricked into believing that it could end. But no, you'll be climbing until you're about to be 6 feet under, at which point you'll be unable to retrieve the life that you once had. That's about it for this video. I left a link to an article about Peril's law, which also includes a bit of info on Bateman's principle if you need any more info on the topics. It was a relatively easy read, so I'd recommend reading it if you don't know what either of those principles are. But yeah, thanks for watching. Like and subscribe as usual, and as always, stay prosperous.